In this video, I'm going to solve all the tactics that are in the CTR 6.0 Chess Tactics program. CTR tactics are hand selected by Viktor Kenkin, a Russian chess coach. I think back in the 80s or something like that. But you'll find the quality of the tactics is much higher than you'll get in an online tactics trainer like Lichess or chess.com. So I'm going to go over my thought process on each tactic. When the tactic starts, if you pause the video, you can try solving it. So if you want to solve this one, go ahead and pause the video. And so this will be a series of videos in which I solve all the tactics. So we're starting from the very beginning, difficulty level 10. And you've got a situation here where you have a rook defended by this knight. So to solve the tactic, we simply take the knight with check and then take the rook. So here we've got a tactic where this queen is attacking the g7 point, but it's defended by this knight. So we simply take this knight and then checkmate on g7. So in this tactic, it's black to move, and we see that white has some back rank issues. Only the bishop and rook are defending the back rank, so we can try calculating what happens if we play queen takes f1 check. Bishop takes, rook takes f1 check, and it will be an eventual checkmate. And here, white also has back rank problems, and we can see that this bishop is cutting off the king's escape squares. So we just sacrifice our queen and deliver checkmate on the back rank. And here we've got a similar problem where the white king is being cut off by this bishop, which will allow for back rank possibilities. We simply sacrifice our queen and then deliver a checkmate on h1. Here we've got a similar situation where the knight is cutting off the g2 square. And what we do here is first we check on h2, forcing the king to f1, and then we sacrifice for a back rank checkmate. We start off with a lot of back ranks. Here's another one. You can see that we can sacrifice our queen and pull the king towards the left and then deliver a back rank. So that's how that one goes. And here we would have a back rank with queen e1, except this knight is defending the square. So we simply take the knight, like queen e1. So yeah, here we have danger on the back rank. Looks like we can just sacrifice this rook, check, and deliver a checkmate here, as the white king is out of squares. Now on this tactic, we have kind of a multi-part calculation that we need to do. So when you're solving a tactic, the first thing you want to look at is checks, captures, mate threats. So the first obvious move is queen takes rook check, and the king will have to recapture. And then we play rook c1 check, and it's almost checkmate, but black can play bishop f8 blocking the check. And then again we look for checks, captures, etc., and we see we have bishop c4 check, which is going to force the king to move to h1, and then we can capture on f8. Or yeah, f8 and deliver a checkmate. So I'll go ahead and play out the moves. And here we have a situation where black's king is being restricted by this pawn on f6. And also it should be noted that if black's king ever comes to h7, bishop f5 will force him back to the back row. So using that information, we can figure that we just sacrifice this queen to eliminate the defender of the back rank. Then we force black forward, and then we deliver the checkmate with the bishop. Here we have white being cut off along the B file here. And it's just a simple calculation. First thing you should look for is basically this move, and then another check, and the game is over. Now I'm assuming we're just going to sacrifice here, check, and finally deliver checkmate. So we're starting off pretty simple, so I'm not really giving a ton of commentary because there's really not much to talk about. But in this one, you can see rook takes g7 should be like pretty much the first move you think of. And then we can follow up with rook g2, which will force the king to f8, and then we have queen h6 checkmate, so that should be the solution. And actually, it's been a while since I've done these tactics, but they're pretty easy at this point. I'm rated about 2050 USCF. So here it looks like we almost have a checkmate on h7, but this knight is defending the square. So we simply eliminate the knight and deliver checkmate. And here we have a situation where if this knight on e5 was not there, we could fork on f7 and fork the king and queen. So we simply eliminate this knight. Keep in mind that by taking here, we're also protecting the knight on g5. I guess the queen's also defending it. But then we go ahead and fork and win the queen. And so here I have a situation where this white queen is unprotected. It's on pre, so we can capture it, but if we do, white is going to back rank us. So what we can do is we can remove that by just sacrificing against the rook and then capturing the queen, and we end up a rook ahead. And here we have these queens facing off, but unfortunately for black, we can force his king into check, which will remove his defender of the queen. And then we can just capture the queen for free. And again, we have these queens staring off, except this time on a diagonal. And we can see we can basically do the same thing. We can just distract the black king and undefend the queen. So here we have kind of the same thing. We have two rooks standing off, and we can distract the king and capture the rook. And again, we have two queens standing off, and we can distract the king and capture the queen. Now in this one, we have a potential back rank here, only the queen is defending it. So we can pull the queen away from e1 by capturing this rook, and then we get the back rank. And here you can see we have two rooks heading towards d1, which is currently defended. But we can pull the queen away by capturing this rook, and then we'll get the back rank. So here black to move, and my first thought is queen takes f2, which if taken, rook b1 would be checkmate eventually. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and play that. I don't see a good response. Here we've got further back rank issues. We simply distract the bishop's defense of the e1 square, deliver checkmate. Here we again have back rank issues, so we pull the bishop away from f1 and we checkmate. Again, we can pull this bishop away and deliver a checkmate. Again, we break open the defense and deliver a checkmate at the end. And here, like I said, checks, captures, and mate threats. So rook takes g7 can be considered, queen takes h7. And once you see queen takes h7, you realize he has to take. And then finally rook g8. Again, we have a forced check that pulls away the rook from the f7 square, and now we see that the g file is cut off. So any check will be checkmate, and then knight f7 checkmate. Now this is black to move, and we'd like to play king e2 so that we can queen the pawn. But white has knight c3 check, which will allow him to defend d1. So I believe the answer is to actually fork the king and knight, distracting the knight away from the defense of the queen e square. Here we have a potential mate threat on g2, defended by the queen. So we rip away the defense of the queen, and we give checkmate. Okay, so that's my first go at it, and it looks like I've done a few tactics, and I'll continue with the rest in future portions of this video.